Hello and welcome to our second demonstration of how automation can help you solve common business problems. This time we're going to look at the problem of automating responses to inbound emails. So this is the scenario that we're going to look at. We're going to see a mailbox with a number of different types of emails that are going to be processed. The first of those types of emails is going to be a structured email that's come from a website where a new lead has been entered and the details have been placed into an email to be processed by a user. The second scenario is we're going to look for certain keywords, not just in the title, but also in the body of the message to highlight those items which are considered complaints and respond to them appropriately. And then the third scenario is everything else. How do we handle all the other situations? And the responses to these three scenarios are as follows. The first one, we're going to actually automatically add that record to a database, and we're going to utilize a piece of functionality in Automation Anywhere called queues. So we can queue up the information and a bot runner will come along and process that data, and we'll see the data going into the queue ready to be processed. The second scenario is that we're going to respond to the original user with a message to say that your message has been received and will be processed within X number of days, and then the details forwarded on to the appropriate complaints team. And finally, a general query would just be forwarded on to a general query team. The mailbox query is a problem that has grown over time as a number of businesses set up different mailboxes to respond to different types of problem that then has been consolidated back into single teams. So you actually have quite a number of people just simply spending the entire day routing emails to the appropriate places or responding to common queries. And of course, the addition of automation allows us to do this 24/7, not just when there's someone in the office looking after the email box, and they're able to provide immediate confirmation and response to those messages as they come in. Now, of course, emails can be given automatic response messages to say that the message has been received, but here we can also do some additional processing and include that information in the response if needed. We can do structured data entry tasks using bot queues, bot runners in Automation Anywhere that will run behind the scenes to operate and run certain processes. And in fact, the queue that we're going to use here is going to complete the task that we saw in our first demonstration, the swivel chair problem, where it updates data into two separate applications. The first one being a training database, training CRM database, and the second being a marketing database. And of course, this handles volume. Once it's up and running, you can actually process as much volume as you need through this mechanism and route only the real queries to people that need to actually sort of understand and respond. So let's have a look at some of the data that we're going to need before we start to run this demonstration. So this is our setup. This is our email box that's going to be read by the automation, and we've populated it with 5 different messages. The first 2 at the bottom are just general queries. They're just general information that's come in and just need to be routed on. But the top 3 are the 3 that we're going to process. And the first one of those, this is a complaint message, is a message that's going to identify the word complaint in the subject and then route it onto the complaints team with the appropriate response to the complainant. The second is another version of a complaint, but this time the word complaint is in the body of the text, not in the subject. And again, it's going to check for both for that keyword. And a number of keywords can be added, or phrases can be added that we can search for that will highlight when an email is a complaint. And then finally, we've got some structured information in the form of a new web contact, which has come from a web data entry form and simply sent an email with the data in a structured way with the title, first name, surname, phone number, and email address. And we're going to see all of this processed. So I'm just going to look at a couple of other things. We're going to write all of the things that we do to a log file, and this log file is currently empty. So we know that's all set up and ready to go. And we're going to send some information to a bot queue to be processed. So we're going to have a quick look at the bot queue here, and we see that the number of work items in the queue is currently 0. So we've got everything set up and ready to go. So the next step is to actually run our automation. So here we are in the Automation Anywhere client, and simply running the demo won't show us very much since it's all information that's going to go on behind the scenes. So let's have a quick look at actually what is happening when the automation script is running. So I'm going to just edit this. And what we see is the very first thing is it's looping through, finding all the messages in the inbox for us to process. And then it's going to test to sort of see if it can understand what that message is. And the first test it's looking for is looking for that new web contact. It knows the web contact, if it finds that, is a piece of structured information. So we're going through and extracting that data out in this loop here. Once we've completed and extracted the data from the email message, we've got this push work item to work queue, which is pushing out all of the data to a separate bot for us to be able to process that information and push it into the appropriate systems. The second thing it's testing for is complaint, and it's looking for the word complaint either in the email header or in the email body itself. And if it finds the word complaint in there, it starts to do two things. The first of which is to be able to have a confirmation of receipt message that goes through to the client, and then we've got a forwarding message that goes on to the actual complaints team to be able to process that piece of work. And then finally we've got the scenario 3, which is for everything else it finds in the email box, which is to actually sort of say we've got this general query. And we're writing all of this information back to a log so we can confirm that what we expect to be happening will happen. So I'm going to run that now, and all we'll see down in the bottom right hand corner is it's stepping through the tasks that we've defined here. And you can see how quickly it goes through 5 email messages to route them through to their final destination. So that's done. So I'm going to pause the video now and then start to look at the outputs that we've generated by running this automation script. The first thing we're going to look at is the log file, and we can see the log file has correctly identified the 5 email messages, the first one being a lead, then 2 complaints and 2 general queries. So that's great. The process is working the way that we expected. Now let's have a look at some of the outputs. So let's first have a look at that queue, the new lead, and it pushed the new lead through to a work queue, and we can sort of see the queue here, and we can see that the data that is passed to that queue is Mr. Rob King, rob.king@wzard.co.uk, etc. So the details that have been passed through to the queue, and this queue is now on hold waiting for a bot runner to come along and process that data through. So the new leads has been processed correctly. Next, we want to have a look at the emails. These are the 2 complaints email messages. The first is the confirmation of your email message, which has gone back to the original user, and the second is the message that's been forwarded on to the complaints team themselves. This is our general query message, and this is simply a message that's been forwarded on to the complaints team. Now the query message has actually got some XML in there, and it's passed all of that data through. And Automation Anywhere can read the details from XML if we wanted to do that, to gather more information into the process if necessary. So we've seen the process run through the email box and actually route the appropriate responses to each of the different types of query. Success. So the end result then is you've got increased customer satisfaction, you've got increased responsiveness to those customer demands, and you've got out of hours operation where you don't need to have people there to be processing those emails. And you've saved time and improved quality of those responses, allowing employees to focus on the more difficult requests. At Wzard Innovation, we help organisations to get started with RPA, and one of the ways we do that is through our Zero to Hero workshop. It's a 5-day intensive program that takes you from zero knowledge through to a working prototype and understanding of strategy in terms of how you can take this forward. And the components of that are to begin with insight, understanding the opportunities that are out there and the different vendors and the capabilities, and matching those capabilities to your specific business needs. We also look at the process funnel. How do you prioritize and optimize processes for automation? We do a development build, a proof of concept or prototype that will actually help you to understand how automation can really operate, so you can see it and feel it and touch it for yourselves. We also look at developing strategy. What are the long-term goals for your organization that automation can help you with? And then finally, building a roadmap for success. Now we can do all of these things as an intense workshop or individual components tailored to your specific needs. So please contact us for more information. Thanks very much for watching. Please feel free to contact us at wzard.co.uk and feel free to comment and share on this video and let us know what you think.